Hi, everyone. Jonathan Brandt with GoOutLiving. We have a special guest today. We are honored to have Regina Oswald, International Coaching Federation coach, as well as author of Liberation from the Diet Prison and creator of the Body Mind Harmony Method. Welcome. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much, Jonathan, for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm happy to talk about my book.
Excellent. So it just came out, and you had an exciting couple of weeks there.
Yes, it actually came out a little bit more than a week ago, and we had beautiful celebration. We had about 100 people of our guests, of people who helped me to bring this book to life, of my friends, like so from different areas of my life, they came to celebrate my book. And the interesting thing, when I was getting prepared for the launch, one of the questions was in my speech right in the beginning to engage the audience. I wanted to ask them, have you ever dissatisfied with your body? And I was kind of afraid that nobody would admit it, even though we know that, in fact, there is unfortunately very sad statistic that there are 50% of women at some point of their life dissatisfied with their bodies. And why I'm mentioning at some point of their life, because it goes even higher as we get older. So, and I'm sure there is some statistic about men as well. So when I asked this question, everybody raised their hands, everybody, including men. And I kind of posed, and I thank everyone for being so open. And because I was scared that nobody would raise their hands, and many people carry that fight internally, and they don't share it. When we are sharing something like this, we actually other people feel that they're not alone. And this is something that's very important to talk, and you talk a lot about it, like with your guests on your podcast. And I think that contributes to our well being. So I thank everybody for being so open and vulnerable, because I told them that I thought that my hand would be the only one. So I was raising hand because I'm one of those people who are, even when objectively everything is fine, you look in the mirror, you are not satisfied. I mean, I don't weigh myself for like about 2 years already. There's no need, because I work out and I know my body. I more for me, the biggest indicator is how I feel in my body, how my clothes feel in my body, how much energy I have to carry myself through the day, to carry myself through my tasks, through what I need to do as a mother, although empty nester, as an author, as a wife, as a woman, as so many roles that we all carry. So, but that was a very interesting experience that I observed that people are ready to talk about it.
Do you think we have been, like brought down the wrong road when it comes to body image, which also relates back to health and wellness? That, okay, we're constantly throwing these pictures of beautiful people. I mean, honestly, and that's what our ideal, what we're supposed to look at ourselves at. I mean, is that kind of what the hesitation is then, that we look in the mirror and that's not what we see?
I think the biggest thing is, so when I'm not sure about your age, I'm turning 48 in a couple of days. So when I was growing up, and I was growing up in Soviet Union, so I could compare myself to, let's say, 90 girls across three classes, three like nine high school grades. I could compare myself to a neighbor, and that's okay. That's how we're growing up. We compare ourselves, who is stronger, who is like, who is taller, who has more beautiful hair. We get inspired. That's okay. But those were real people. Okay. Now, when we compare ourselves, and unfortunately we fall into that hole of comparing ourselves, we compare ourselves to edited bodies, to filtered faces, to like distorted reality, taking out of the context. And even us adults, we fall for it. and we feel bad about ourselves. And also, like, we go through different, different milestones, especially women, like going through, childbirth, going through breastfeeding, going through postpartum, going through menopause, going through like all those, like, like, and then you compare yourself to the filtered picture. It doesn't do any good. So we start thinking that something wrong with us, why we do not look like this, those pictures. If you look at the magazines like from 60s and 70s, and because I had fashion brand, I was always into fashion and I always got inspiration from like different eras. So if you look at the pictures, women did not have abs like, those six packs. Okay. So women were beautiful, but they did not have those like, like defined, like, like kind of like almost like a perfect geometric muscles. They were like real bodies because Photoshop, I guess, was not invented back
Wasn't
then.
there yet.
Yeah, maybe in 90s it's kind of like they started using it more, but if you look at the pictures, women had real bodies. And you actually kind of like, like you look at them and you're like, oh, okay, everything is fine with me. Everything is like, I'm fine. I'm a real woman. So that's what makes that struggle even harder, because you are not against a real woman. You are against filtered reality. And we kind of like, that becomes a background noise of measuring, comparing, and we're constantly living that background noise. And what it does, it takes away from our listening to our body. And that's where harmony starts, us listening to our body, us living in this body. And even myself, like catching, like after writing this book and knowing everything about it, sometimes I catch myself, I look in the mirror, and instead of living in my body and telling myself that this is home, I evaluate it. I measure how it looks. And then I kind of like, hey, 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 no, we're not going there. You are living there. This is your home. So that's kind of how I see that. And, and our kids have to, go through this. And it's even harder for teenagers.
Yeah, now we have AI and everything, but
Yes.
getting a little bit back to the book as well, though, everything you're talking about leads to trying different, as you have in here, diets or different fitness trends, or, lose weight in 30 days, you know what I mean? There's these unrealistic goals now that are set through what I believe are unhealthy ways, but maybe you can shed some light on that.
I still use science in my book, like, just to explain, like, like when I talk, let's say, when I talk about the capacity of our stomach, like, I explain it very, very, like, I'm not asking people to count their calories, to measure their portion. Believe me, I did it for 30 years and I'm done with it. So, but I always, like, show this to people and say, okay, this is our stomach. And this is in extended form when it's filled with food. So it's basically two, like, two fists. So when you open those two fists, that's amount of food that is sufficient to fill your stomach. Just kind of like, have this image in mind. Okay. When you go, let's say Easter is coming and a lot of like restaurants, like, they do buffets, right? Like, so when you put plate, okay, just imagine that's what your stomach needs, that's what your body needs, and this is what you are doing, taking care and nourishing your body. That's all it needs. Okay, so just be a little bit of aware. So there is a science. I use Harvard plate just to explain, like, that okay, we need that amount of fiber on our plate, we need that amount of protein on our plate, and we need that amount of carbs on our plate. Okay, and then if our protein has already fat in it, let's say if I take steak, then I don't add extra fat. If I take chicken breast, then I add avocado or nuts or olive oil, whatever, like, So it's very easy. And then I also talk about the benefits of movement and But I always bring back to ask your body what your body wants. Do not just go with my advice that, okay, you have to eat chicken. You have to eat this. I like, I give kind of variety of like, okay, what type of protein are there? What has more protein? What has less protein content, right? So, but in the end of the day, I want people more to ask themselves. And believe me, when we ask our body talks to us. So starting with small, like what do I feel like having,
We
right?
tend to ignore ourselves, don't we? We know when it's wrong, but we just completely ignore it. I look at my diagnosis, cancer diagnosis, and I ignored everything for I mean, it came on quick, but I still ignored it. My wife had to tell me to get to the doctor. A lot of people, it's not that bad, thank God. But honestly, it's that simple to just listen to yourself and know, okay, this kind of food doesn't sit well, right?
This kind of food does not sit well. This is too much. This is kind of like, like this is what I should like, and we should not, ideally we should eliminate processed food from our diets because this is like, this is a natural food. And when we give our body natural food, our body knows what to do with it. When we give our body processed food, many times our body is so confused what to do with it. So and that's what lead to overweight. That's what lead. I always tell you will never overeat chicken breast. You will. Have you ever seen people overeating chicken breast? But chicken nuggets, yes, right? Have you ever seen people overeating like complex carbs, like let's say sweet potato? But if it's chips, yes, even if
You're
they're
right.
from sweet potatoes, easily, right? Like, the bag of chips that would be like around 490 calories with fats and everything in it, extra salt, easily. So
Yeah, it's that simple, isn't it? Okay,
keep it
so,
simple. Keep it
I
simple,
mean,
stupid, right?
well, yeah, I mean, we talk a lot about how difficult it is to shop these days because of all that, well, processed foods that are in the store and trying to figure out labels and try but if we just go back to the basics, it's that simple.
And that's what I mentioned. And because my book is divided into 9 weeks, and 9 weeks is where you come to conscious competency. It's basically there is a belief that it takes 21 days to build a habit. Well, maybe, but then the moment you stop doing that, that habit will disappear from your life. So it takes a little bit longer to bring yourself to or ourselves to conscious competency. It's kind of like, like I know what I need to do. And then up to 2 years, when you keep doing it, it takes to bring us to unconscious competency, where like basically you just drive your car without even thinking about it. It's autopilot, right? So, but even those 9 weeks, I divide into small steps because I do believe that small steps are most powerful. And there is a wonderful book that I refer to, Atomic Habits. Highly recommend. And basically, he gives this analogy: if the airplane just changed the degree by 3 degrees, the angle, right? And gets from Los Angeles instead of Washington, it will end up in New York, and it's 6 hours drive difference. So by just the small steps. Or I always bring this to my clients that the snow does not melt at 0 degrees. If we do 1 degree, that's many times our body does not even feel the difference, but the snow will start melting. And our goal is to make it sustainable, to make it into lifestyle, because as you mentioned in the beginning, many people focus on how to lose weight. I invite women or men. I mean, I kind of feel like, my book is mostly for women, but I'm sure men can use all those because we talk about like dressing up, we talk about like, the way how, you look like, like you look when you're at home, when you go to bed. But like, if you create this kind of like image of, okay, this is what I want to be, and then you ask, okay, this woman, how does she eat? How does she move her body? How does she, and create those changes very, very tiny. Like, and I love to work multi-dimensional. So, and I give this analogy when I was a kid, and my grandma was a seamstress. So at a very early age, she taught me how to hold the needle and the thread. And I was making clothing for my dolls, but I was too little to make patterns. So I was making like 2D clothing for my 3D dolls. And I was frustrated when it didn't fit because it was flat. So later, of course, I learned how to make patterns, but when we approach wellness only through movement and through our nutrition, that's like putting 2D clothes on 3D dolls, right?
I love that. I love that.
So we have to add third dimension is our emotional health. And that's a formula of body mind harmony. It's emotional health, it's physical health, it's emotional energy, it's physical energy, and it's motivation or interest. Like, okay, how about like, like if I do this, what will happen? Like, like, okay, I want to see, like, like I want to see what other life could be if I do this, if I create this environment for me.
I mean, it all makes sense. How, being in the industry for as long as you have you seen a shift in how people are not only looking at themselves, but how they are looking at health and wellness in general, at nutrition, at fitness? Has there been a shift?
Absolutely. So, I mean, with my program, I saw the shift, and now people kind of like a little bit more aware that diet culture does not work, and they are looking for more lifestyle because diets are like it's funny, like like we're not failing diets failing us. That whole mentality, it's a recipe for catastrophe because every time we like like we go on diets. So from physiological standpoint, it's very essential to understand that when we start thinking about going on diet, like I'll tell you, like Jonathan, from tomorrow you're not eating this, or you're eating on this hour but you're not eating from this hour, you will start getting stressed. You will have anxiety. Plus, I'll tell you, and you will be running every day. You will have anxiety, you will have stress. What will happen when we have those kind of like, stress situation? We are flooded with cortisol. So we have our amygdala that's right here. It's our ancient brain. And when it feels some inattention, when it feels like a malnutrition or something, especially those people who are in the diet mentality their whole life. They're like, oh my God, another diet is coming. So the body is flooded with cortisol, it's a stress hormone, and the body gets into survival mode. When we're in a survival mode, it does not prioritize healing, it does not prioritize balance, it does not prioritize restoring, it prioritizes survival. So during that survival, everything will be held by our body. Nothing will be released. So, what we need to do, what we need to start with, we need to calm ourselves down. So, that's why diets do not work because the moment I hear the word diet, my whole body is like getting like, oh my God. But
Well,
if I
how do you
say, yeah, but if I say, okay, we're going to nourish your body with what your body needs, your body, and I will nourish my body with what my body needs.
how do you feel about the shots that are out there, or different medications that
Mhm.
promise?
Mhm.
I mean, it's worse, isn't it?
Well, let's kind of like, so we, what those medication do, first of all, there is like, I'm not a doctor, so I cannot really talk much about it because it's prescribed by a doctor, but What I can say is there are studies that show that the moment people stop them, all the noise comes back, all the hunger comes back, and the weight comes back. And when they lose weight, if they don't do the right things, they lose muscles. They and then when they gain weight, they gain fat. So that's a recipe for disaster. That's a first of all. Secondly, hunger is our biological signal. It's how our body communicates with us. So when we feel need to use restroom, that's a signal that our body gives us that our urinary bladder is full and we have to empty it. And we respect it. We get up and we use bathroom. The hunger is the same signal that our body gives us that we need nourishment. It's like you are driving your car and your car shows that you are empty on gas. What will happen if you will continue ignoring it, right? Or you will kind of like, okay, let me put a tape on it so I don't see it. Eventually, you will stop. So the same thing here. If we are suppressing hunger, hunger basically our body signals us something. Okay. And then again, going back to there is a hunger and there is an appetite. Hunger is a physical, it's a biological signal of that we need nourishment. Appetite is when we have emotional needs, but we use food to fill the emotional needs. And that's what usually cause extra weight. That's what usually cause like all those problems with the weight, right? So because if you just give your body nourishment, people will not gain weight. If you try to use food to fill the emotional needs, that's what with the medication, you basically suppress that signal. And what happens? So we're not healing our emotional wounds, and we're not addressing our nutritional needs. So it's basically another prison. Again, if people are using it not abusing it, but using it on microdosing and like really while they're having this help changing their lifestyles and doing and starting exercising and starting changing their eating habits and slowly getting to where they need to be, that's a different story. But many times people are just abusing it and they are so happy. Like I heard one woman saying, oh, I can go whole day just drinking tea. This is horrible.
I don't know where people get it, or they have to know it's not real, or it's not sustainable is the best word. I mean, you're going to come back probably worse, like you said. So, okay, with all the noise out there, do you believe acknowledging your own behaviors is very critical to that first step?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Addressing and become aware. And every time there is a signal from our body, ask yourself, am I hungry? What does my body need from me now? It could be a glass of water. It could be maybe just hug yourself because you're so stressed, or we all carry our childhood traumas, wounds, and sometimes those wounds they're triggered and they come back. And at that point the worst thing is just to go to your pantry and take chocolate candy, or if you love savory things, to take bag of chips. It's something your body invites you to be aware of, to do the work, to heal. And many times, we got, our body starts talking to us and we do not listen to it. And then it gets serious. It gets serious. People, let's say, get from anxiety and then they get to panic attacks because that's how body tries to communicate with us, because we did not listen when it was just the beginning.
Do you think people are scared to try the long way? Do you think it's just easier to say, okay, yeah, I can do the 30-day, 60-day, whatever? They're just scared of, okay, if I put in a year and I don't see a change, I just wasted a year. Is that part of the mentality of why they're not doing the long game?
A great question. People want quick fixes. And the interesting thing is like many times that extra weight and the lifestyle that they developed, it's a like lifelong journey, but somehow they want quick fix, like within 30 days, or like that kind of like bikini body, when gyms are like, oh, we have promotion for bikini body. Why can't you have like like a bikini body 365 days a year? I'm not talking about bikini body, I'm talking about healthy body, right? Like, why do you need to push yourself to get ready for summer, to get ready for vacation, and then go all out? So that's the first thing. But secondly, also, people kind of like, tend to blame the environment, tend to blame, okay, that happened to me because my husband put so much stress on me, because my boss is an idiot, because my kids are not grateful, because my parents are narcissistic, whatever the reason is. When you kind of like, okay, I'm adult, and yes, maybe those things are there, but I'm in charge of my own body. I'm in charge of my choices. And you start taking responsibility. You empower yourself to do the right things in your life. Those people are there. This is their life, okay? But now you're adult and you can make your choices. So many people live in that mentality of a victim, things happening to them, not things like like happen and they are there to learn from them, but things are happening to them all the time. And that's what people kind of, a lot of people are afraid to get out of this mentality, because it's easier to blame the environment and feel the victim.
I agree. Again, it comes down to taking responsibility. What do you, in this, I just thought of this. I do a morning walk, and beginning of January, there's a lot of people out there. We're now moving into, we're getting close to April now. There's not that many. What are your thoughts on the New Year's resolution thing?
It's a great question, Jonathan. Some people take it like too fast, too much. When, let's say, if your goal is to get prepared for the marathon, you probably will not take the distance and the speed of the marathon. You'll start, and then you never ran before, right? You'll start very, very slowly. You'll start like, like maybe 10 minutes, maybe like 20 minutes. You kind of like, slowly increase. People try, so during the holidays, they eat like there is no tomorrow. And then they kind of like, on January 1st, right? Or after, who, I mean, different holidays, different calendars, they look in the mirror and like they step on the scale and like, oh my God, I look horrible. I feel horrible. I ate too much. I drank too much. Now I will go to gym and I will work out for 2 hours. No,
It doesn't work.
it doesn't work this way. So when I started lifting weights, I started definitely with smaller weights that I'm doing now. And that's how like your mind will get prepared for like, okay, we're in this game for a long time. We're not doing something quick fix. We're changing the whole lifestyle, and whatever we're doing, like we're doing it slowly, we're taking it slowly, and people burn out very fast. So when they like, like they get their first soreness, they go to gym first time, second time, third time, they feel their soreness, they feel like, like they feel horrible. They, more than that, they go usually on like a food restrictions, very severe food restrictions. So they feel horrible. By the end of the week, they're done.
And again, they're looking at one side of it. They're looking at, okay, I go pump iron for an hour, but they're not looking at the mind part of it. It's not the mind, the body, the soul. It's one thing out of the three. And your
Absolutely.
book is more about the whole.
Yes. Because I think it's more important to be whole than to like like to be fit, or like I think it's kind of like we can never forget about our emotional health. on our wellness journey, emotional health is equally important to our physical health. I think they're so interconnected, and I really see that shift in a Western medicine, like more doctors start like thinking about how to bring that aspect into that, healing journey of the patients.
Instead of quick fixes, we're looking at the long term again. We're looking at the root cause of
And
why we
again,
got
I'm
sick.
not, yes, I'm not against the medicine. I'm not against the, but they have to work together, body and mind.
I agree. I think the mental health we're scared to talk about.
Yes, we're scared to talk about it. And I'm on the committee of Children's Hospital of Orange County Mental Health. And we started this luncheon about this year will be fourth. And we create awareness. And it's the program called Let's Talk. And we talk about different topics. We talk about suicidal rate. We talk about anxiety and pressure of performance. We talk about different topics. We're going to talk about eating behaviors that's very prevalent among teenagers. So we have to start talking about those things.
And that brings up a great point, education. We're lacking in the education of a healthy lifestyle other than folks like you that are putting out amazing books. It's not happening in school. Parents aren't doing it. We're like I keep bringing up, we're 50 years behind on our food aspect. We're starting to get that we did it wrong for a long time. So how do we start that education with our kids, with ourselves? Is there a step that we can all take that will help benefit all of us?
Well, I always say that, we set example for our kids. We cannot really, tell our kids to do something if we're not doing something, right? So that's a first step. And I think, also, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel that we live in an era of those short reels that take away people's attention from, so we actually, if we're not born with ADHD, we develop ADHD because of that, because of the attention span. So what happens is, if I, and that's doom scrolling, is it's a release of dopamine, and it's basically like a lot of people get on it because they're tired after work. They need to kind of mindless scrolling of things. But then after this, try to get a book, try to read the book. You cannot read even one page. Your attention span gets so small. And that's a problem, because people, even podcast is like about what, 1 hour or maybe like 45 minutes.
Mhm.
You need to focus, you need to listen. And if we get used to getting information within 1 minute.
It's funny you say that. I'm not gonna say his name because I always say it, but he's like, they're too long." I'm like, "No, they're not. We have a lot we can talk about. It's your attention span is too short." But
Absolutely
it's
true.
true. That's I mean, for in life in general, that's what it's become. And that's why the health and wellness part doesn't work either, because we just want that quick, "Okay, I can do this in a 5-minute workout." You need a little bit more than that.
Absolutely. I agree with you. And that's kind of like how I see what's happening right now with people, they want quick fixes and everything.
Getting back to the book, getting back to women, is there a cry out for a book like yours right now? Are people really responding to it?
Yes. So a lot of people are so, and again, they could be from different walks of life. They could be very successful in their career, or there could be stay-home mothers, they could be very creative people, and they manage their life somehow. They still in fight and in control with their bodies. That's something that's very hard to let go I lived in that mentality for 30 years, and I thought that if I let it go, I will get so fat that I will not go through the door. Like I always have to control it. And a lot of women, and they could be from the outside, from outside, you would never, if you met me before I liberated from a diet prison, if you met me, I would look exactly same. Like, you would never see the difference. It's all internal struggle. And they are so frustrated. They're like, and it comes to a point of life, like when it's too heavy a burden for the soul to carry. Because originally, we are not created to control our bodies. We are created to take care of it, to nourish it, to move it. That's what our job is. I bring this analogy like, we don't evaluate our home. We take care of our home and we live in it. We enjoy living in it. We bring candles, we bring flowers, we decorate it. We like we put new news wallpapers, but we don't constantly evaluate it. Somehow we do it to our bodies instead of living in it. And this is very, very prevalent. So women who are living in this control mentality, who are fighting with their bodies, who using movement as a punishment. Oh, I ate a little bit too much, or I drank too much. Now I have to go to the gym and do 2 hours on a treadmill. No, when we change the narrative from control to care, punishment to movement. Our body needs to be moved. Our muscles release those particles that called myokines, and it's a happiness signal in our brain. So it goes into our brain, and we feel happiness, and we feel endorphins, and we feel great about ourselves. That's basically the way how our muscles thank us for moving them. They're not supposed to be like sitting or lying down on the couch, right? So when we change the narrative about all those things, everything becomes kind of like, oh my God, I'm just taking care of my body. I'm enjoying living in this body, and I'm trusting my body.
I agree 100%. Okay, here's one last tough question though.
Yes.
We can see the outside. Even if we know we're taking in the wrong stuff, how do we really know what's going on the inside? They can look great, like you said, but
Uh-huh.
there's a lot of stuff on the inside not going so well. So, what steps would you take in that situation?
It's very interesting. Like, for me, everything starts like, our nourishment, it's a basal need, right? Like, if you take the Maslow pyramid, the hierarchy of needs, right? So the food and shelter, this is on the base level. I kind of like I bring it here, like, so this is the first level, okay? And then the next level is our safety, and then the next level is our relationships with our friends, with our husbands. Next thing is our career and self-actualization. So if we lose connection with our body on this level because of the food, right, we take over control of our needs, our desires. So we're disconnected from our body on this level. When we go to next level and we're already disconnected from our body, so our body, we don't hear the signal, the somatic signal, because we live in such a cognitive world. We don't hear somatic signal about the danger. Our body is kind of like we have this intuition, we have this radar, we do not hear it. Then we go out and we try to find our second half, right? We don't feel the signal. Is it my person or not? Is it right person? Do I like him? Do I not like? Because they're disconnected with the body, with the messenger, right, is here on the basic level. Then you go into your career. Again, you do not know, do I really like it? I need to work. I need to make money. Do I like what I do? So how can we go here if we're disconnected from our body? So on each level of this pyramid and all the needs, and this is basically like self-actualization. This is what we came here, right? To self-actualize ourselves, to find our purpose, right? Like, to find what our heart desires, what our soul came here for. but we're disconnected from our body. That's why we return back here and we basically restore that connection between body and mind because we need it for all areas of our life.
So true.
Mhm.
That's great. Regina Oswald, I mean, an absolute pleasure. Why don't you let everybody know where they can find the book?
Mhm.
And then we'll, of course, post everything in a blog. But yeah, let everybody
This is my
hear.
book. It's called Liberation from a Diet Prison Journey to Body Mind Harmony. And it's a kind of like a guide back to yourself, back to home. It's available on Amazon. It's available in Kindle version and paperback version, whatever you like to read. I love Kindles, but this book is actually, I recommend to take it in the paper version because there are a lot of places for self-reflection, and I invite people to self-reflect and use it like a journal. You use it like, to journal their journey.
I like it. That's perfect. Again, an absolute pleasure. I am so happy that you were on. Um, hopefully, we get you again. Honestly, that was
Yes,
great.
and I also I can offer to you if you have if your listeners, your audience will have any questions, any particular question, we can get back together and I will answer particular question that your audience may have to my book or to me. I will be happy to do that.
You read my mind. I'm going to talk to you afterwards about something I'm wanting to do. That's perfect. I really appreciate that. And yeah, we'll talk after and we'll get that set up because again, that's important. I know we want the people to be involved. We want them to be able to ask questions. That's what the website is. That's what the podcast is about. So having guests that can answer that, I think is amazing. And it makes us all feel like we're part of it, which we are, and we just have to, I keep saying we're the inspiration, but everybody's the influence behind it all. We all have to come together. So I really appreciate that.
Absolutely, I'll be happy to participate in it.
Perfect. All right. A big thank you to Regina Oswald again. To all of you out there, I really appreciate all of you. We thank you for listening. And as you all know, find the attitude, keep the attitude, go out living. Bye, everyone.